offering, so you can do that. And it kind of helps, like, go into places too that are haunted with the Native American energy and stuff too. Just to I don't ever invite or provoke or ask any questions. I just kind of go with a clear mind and then just offer like the tobacco and like offer compassion, like kind of like that for the space, and then that's it. Like I don't try to change anything. Like
do you
or whatever.
ever try and do like soul release, like where there's stuck energy, like send souls to the light?
I have done that with Geronimo because I've seen him in my mind, and then I've asked I've been telling her about him, and he said that I was like his daughter and his wife in other times, with Geronimo. So I felt that, and I could see that he was in my mind. I could see that he was teaching me how to do some of the medicines and how to do some of the spell or protection or soul retrieval. It's kind of something with that, like a ritual he was showing me. So that must have been like I was his daughter, it seems like there.
Yeah.
And then he was asking me, because with the skull and bones, how they supposedly used his skull,
at Yale.
And so with George Bush and stuff too. So I said, so I was talking to Geronimo, and I said, so what are you going to do with that? Are you really, did they really use your bones and stuff? Like they dug you up or what? And then I think that's what they did. And then so in my mind, I seen that me and Geronimo went back in time, and then we put a clown body in the grave. And so when they dug it up, then they got a clown, so we was watching that and laughing that they were like, what the heck is this? A clown, like what the heck? So things like that I see, but that is kind of a soul retrieval, because he's happy that they didn't use his bones and stuff. So I collected all of that out of the earth there, and cleaned it, and then took it out of the skull and bone thing to the energy of it, like retrieved it. I don't even think it was there anymore with them. They just used it, So it was mostly all in his area where he lived, because his whole family was murdered. When he came back from wherever he came back and his whole family was murdered.
Yeah.
So he burned the whole house down, and then, he left after that. So that's a traumatic event for him. So how I was seeing it is I had a helicopter, and I had him with me, and I was like hanging from the helicopter, from the ladder, and then I just scooped all of his family up, because this is him telling me to do all this too. I don't do it unless they tell me or ask me. And then I just kind of scooped them all up, and I was like a giant, like angel kind of person, and then I just kind of put them inside of me to be transmitted or transferred or whatever, transmuted to wherever they wanted to go to out of me, So then I did like a scan of where he told me energetically, I just like scanned the whole area, and then I don't feel anything. And I did it several times to make sure I got anything at all. If there was bones, whatever he told me to, and I did that. And so I communicate with him too when I'm doing my sage and stuff. Then I'll talk to Geronimo, like one of my guides and stuff too, because he like gives me a lot of strength, like protection and strength and stuff too. And then like an exchange. So, and then I went to Quanah Parker, the Comanche war chief, because they're both in Oklahoma too, So, but Quanah, all I did was see him sitting there in front of the fireplace, and I entered the scene there behind him. I said, and I looked, and I said, what are you doing, and he just doesn't say nothing. I said, I'm like, all your wives are behind you. They're all waiting for you to stand up and walk out, like I'm respectful and stuff, but I'm just like asking, like, what do you need? Why am I here, in a way? And then he doesn't move. He still didn't move. And I'm like, what? And I do like a scan real fast. So why is he waiting here? What is he waiting on? And I'd say, everybody's moved on. Why are you still here? And he just sits there. So I just say, to his wife, I guess he's not ready. I'll just be like like I'll put it on whatever over here until he's ready. Until he's ready to move on, then I don't do nothing. They have to want to, but he called for, or somebody did, he had like so many wives, all of them standing behind him, and so many kids, and they're all behind him, but he's like completely unaware of them and alienated from them. Like I don't know he still sits there in my mind. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Crazy Horse too, and was like, I asked him like, why am I here, And then I just kind of observed what he's doing. Like, what are you doing? He's just sitting like on the rock on the top of the mountain, looking like at the sunset. And I'm like, so he just kind of wanted some compassion. So I was doing that, giving him compassion, like a hug from behind, and just like giving him that. And then he slowly started showing me stuff like in the field, like the horses running. I said, what do you want to do with the horses? You want to steal those horses? So we like opened up a thing, like a rip, and then all the men fell into that rip, and then we stole their horses and then zipped the rip thing back up. So all those men are gone, but then we got a bunch of horses. He wanted to do that. So that's really all. He didn't have a whole bunch of, and I seen like a cougar, a mountain lion animal that's probably a spirit animal or something. So he's kind of like a mountain lion, Yeah. So that's all he wanted to do. He didn't really have any, he just wanted to clear the land of all the people the white invaders, That's what I see, like gunfire on the horses. Yeah. So we made them all fall into the rip there and then put it back. So that's soul retrieval, that I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that makes a difference too, and that clears a lot of energy out for that land area too. But I try to do it to places that I'm traveling to, but it's to the land, and if it's a burial site, it's too much.
Right.
It's too many things that go on to that place. But if it's just a person that's passed, and then they come to my mind, or I'm attracted to them for some reason, all of a sudden, then it's for some reason, So I'll have that quite a bit, and I'll help them. I just sit with them until they tell me I think I'm sitting with them, but I think I'm doing the Karuna Reiki, and it's helping them purge, like out the density until I can hear what they're wanting, because the density has to clear, and then I'll hear it. So
I feel like there's a lot of pain that they held.
With Geronimo or so, all that.
Yeah, I mean a lot of pain. I mean, to see your whole tribe.
Because of all the whole family dead when you come back, and then even Quanah Parker, when he was little too, the same thing like that. So his mom, he was separated from his mom. His mom was kidnapped, and his little sister when he was little, and then so that's still, he's still working through that, is what I feel, but it's already over. But he's not ready to let it go yet, and I think I just sit there in a way until because he's holding it, he's not even releasing it, like he's at a standstill, so you can't do anything until they're ready to release it. Like Geronimo, I seen him even jogging with me, like in my mind he was jogging with me. He's like really a cool person to even hang out with. Like he teaches, he's such a good teacher, and he can show you protection, things for protection, and he's really wise, and he'd be like a good grandpa to have around, you know. So I see him kind of like that, and that's, yeah, I see things like that in my mind.
Can you like call Geronimo in to, when you're in the dream state, like for protection?
I would ask him before I go to sleep, you know, and then he's probably already there, you know, because I'll say that before, like I'll say, protect me during my astral travels, or protect, you know, send protection, or however. So I don't really say as much as I like. It's telepathic stuff. It seems to be more powerful because I'll show an image of what I want to be, you know, instead of voicing it. Then because he's he's very because Geronimo showed me, like, he covered his eyes, and then he said he can see with his eyes closed, and then he pointed up to a tree, and it was like an owl, you know, in the night, and then the owl that was him, you know, and then he could shapeshift into, he was showing me he could shapeshift into any kind of mostly horses, and in other places, or he could just project his mind into things. Mm-hmm. So he's really, I guess that's why they must have done some research and wanted his bones. Like I even asked, like, why did they want your skull? But the skull holds all the energy of the medicine of the person, you know, like where they could hold them too, hold some part of them in that space. So maybe they wanted to capture it, you know, capture his some part of him, and use that magic for negative or something. Maybe so.
Yeah, that sounds like they used it for black magic type of stuff.
Yeah, because bones and stuff. So it can be used. You can use the animal spirit, the animal energy to do things, or the people. You can put in something else, you know, into the bones.
Yeah.
So, and then they even had where they laid in the coffin with the skeletons, you know, in these rituals and stuff. But the skull and bones, they laid in the coffin, and then they had to be like, I mean, how I see it is they was almost intimate in a way in their mind or something, like connected to whoever that skeleton was. And then that skeleton even had like a scarf or something that person wore that was theirs, significant. And then they took it, and then so when they got out of the coffin, then they took on that altar of that person. Like they could look at that scarf, and then that they would become that person. Oh. They would pull forth. Yeah.
How about crows? Do you like?
I love crows. Yeah, the Native American. My grandma, she has that around her. The crow medicine, and they're always around when I'm walking around this area. And I just, my most favorite bird is the turkey vulture, and I feel when I see it, I just want to become that. So I must have an aspect of me that projects into the turkey vulture, you know. And some reason I just love that bird. So
they have good sight and smell.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever experienced smells that didn't belong, like
like
lavender?
Dead animals?